Hi.
Hey man,
How's it going?
good, how are you?
Good.
You've been off work all week.
I have, yes. I'm very sorry.
It's alright. It's alright.
It's alright.
You are entitled to not be here.
Okay.
But it's a little bit lesser when you're not here.
How so?
Banter train.
Just a banter train.
Dave's great and all. Love Dave.
Dave's just got a new car.
He has, man. It's great.
It's a dadmobile,
It's.
isn't it?
I'm going to be a dad. I'm in.
Yeah. He stole your car.
It's sold. Sold. Yeah, to the man with the Mondeo. Mondeo is state in jet black. It could be a hearse.
Wow, that's morbid.
It's huge.
Is it massive?
It's massive, yeah.
I've not seen it because of the aforementioned not being here.
Yeah. Why weren't you here?
I was doing something a bit different. Well, not so different.
Playing bass?
Yeah. I was just playing. I was cajon. Got sore cajons.
Sore cajons. Did you enjoy that?
No.
Yes, you did.
I loved it. No, I was playing drums for a musical. Oh, yes. Well, I say musical. It was like a musical theatre showcase.
Right.
So I can go into talking about a little bit about what that was all about, if you wish.
Well, yeah, I mean, what did you showcase?
Okay, so basically how it worked with this particular showcase was I got contacted by a man by the name of Alan Curry. He is the part of the Performing Arts musical theatre course at New College Lanarkshire in Scotland. So he contacted me because they needed a drummer to perform in a musical theatre showcase. So that basically meant learning essentially a musical's worth of songs. So like, let's say about 10 or 11 songs, but all from different musicals. So there was like there was songs from like the Beetlejuice musical, there was like a song from Jesus Christ Superstar, there was a song from Hamilton, basically, and just learn those songs because each one of those songs represented a student who was going to perform it in front of casting directors, agents, and it was for the BA honours students. So this is what they're going to move on to go and do once they graduate. Which, when I think about it, and it wasn't until I was talking to Jamie McGrory earlier on that I realised that it was like, oh man, that's quite a lot of pressure for the band, because when you really think about the psychological element of that, if one of us had made a catastrophic mistake, that could ruin effectively their career before it's even started.
Yeah, man, you know? I've done it as well.
Yeah, it can be a bit of a roast sometimes.
Yeah, I did it in London.
You did it in London?
Yeah, I went down to London for it was master students that were doing it.
Oh wow.
Was it master? No, sorry. Oh no, it was master students that were doing it. Yeah.
And so what did you excuse me, did you have to, were you like sight reading everything on the day, or did you get rehearsals?
No, we had done it in Glasgow as well.
Right. Oh, so it was like,
so the way that it was, when I'd actually left college, I'd gone back to do it, and they did Glasgow as their kind of showcase for their family and friends.
Right. Okay.
The end of year showcase.
Yeah.
And then they go to London to do it.
And do it again.
So that casting directors are at home. Because that whole scene's in London, isn't it? Really?
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Sorry, we've just eaten, so we're full of Dominoes, which is why we keep clearing our throats.
Yeah. You'll have probably seen this on the stories at one point and thought, what?
Oh, did you storyize it?
I did. Well, I haven't yet, but by the time this comes out, I have, and it won't be there anymore. So relevant.
So yeah, it was done in Glasgow first. Day or two rehearsals.
Yeah.
And then
in
2 shows, and then train down to London.
Same
over
again.
2 days, actually.
Oh yeah. So you stopped halfway?
No. We went down on one day, got into the theatre and rehearsed.
Right.
And then the next day.
And then the next day was the thing. Yeah.
But they did scenes as well. I don't know if you guys.
Yeah, we had scenes as well. Yeah.
Cool.
So they did like how the one that I just performed at was they did 2 group numbers, one at the very start and one at the very end.
Yes, I remember that well. Yeah.
And then in between that, or after the group number, there would be like 1 or 2 acting scenes, and then it would be like 2 or 3 songs.
Yeah.
And then another 2 and 3 acting scenes. So it was split up that kind of way.
Yeah.
Up until they ended with another group number.
Were the cast lucky enough that the group numbers had been numbers that they had performed in shows?
I don't think they'd performed the numbers in shows before, because they chose they chose one of the last song, the last group number they did was from a musical called Rent.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like Finale B or something like that. So that was just like, I think the college I think the college had done Rent as a musical before, so I think they did experience with that. But the opening song was because we were talking to Dave Stewart a couple of weeks back.
And today
actually,
he was in today.
The opening number was, from speaking to Dave, I learned this was the opening song from the second act of Everybody's Talking About Jamie. And it's
so there's no chance to perform that.
No,
that show.
Chance. And it's funny actually. I say that now because it's happened. But on the day of the performance, which for me was yesterday, but for you guys it'll have been a few days ago. The band, as you know, like if it's in a theatre situation, it's very much treated the same as like a musical, because you're basically performing a musical within a space of an hour. Yeah, essentially. Like obviously, but what's difficult about it is because it's songs from different musicals, like you're all over the place. The way I summarised it to someone earlier on was, imagine it's like you go out for a walk, then you need to sprint, then you need to kind of go for a light jog, and then a walk again. Yeah, that's kind of cool. Sprint, and then a jog, a sprint. Kind of like you're all over the place. There's no consistency to it, which is great because it keeps you on your toes, but it's also quite hard because you have to. There's no leaving that page, or like I was thankful we were set up almost in a line, so I was over. If you're looking at the stage, I was over at the left hand side, but to my left I could see the MD and the bass player. So I was basically, my eyes were on my music and then looking over at Alan for cues and things. But anyway, the band, as soon as the showcase starts, the kind of overall course director says hello to the audience and explains to them the format of it, because there was a musical theatre acting showcase and then there was an acting, just straight up acting showcase straight after it. So he was like, oh, good afternoon or good evening, this is the musical theatre performance you're seeing. After this performance there'll be a 15-minute intermission and it's the acting performance. And I was like, cool. So what had happened in rehearsals, because he even rehearsed that, like what I learned about a lot of it is that like everything's pretty much rehearsed, so everybody knows on opening night or whatever what's going on and what to look out for. So after in the rehearsal, what was supposed to happen was the house lights would go out and I get a point from Alan because the opening group number just starts with hi-hats. So I start the song basically, set the tempo and everything. But on the first performance, the course director was like, okay, thank you and enjoy the show, and he left the stage but the light was still on. So it basically resulted in a room of 30 people just looking at 3 musicians as if like do something great. So but then what to make matters kind of more confusing, Alan looked up at the sound desk, which is at the top of obviously all the audience, so they couldn't see them, and the sound guy was frantically waving his arms. So Alan took that as a cue of either like the lights not working, just go. What was actually going on was they changed the cue for the band without telling the band. Oh man. Which was not ideal. No. So Alan took that as a cue. He pointed to me. I start the song. And for anyone who listens to this who's like into like musical theatre and things, like if you've ever seen Everybody's Talking About Jamie and the title song Everybody's Talking About Jamie, it starts with like 4 bars of the hi-hat. Oh no, sorry, 2 bars of the hi-hat, and it basically vamps around that until the cast comes in. How it's written is probably about 8 bars worth of vamp.
Yeah, just they'll write safety.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
And what that means is that you stay in those 8 bars and the MD will cue you out.
Yeah. And it usually like, so it'll start like cue. That's the cast come in. But apparently a couple of the cast members were still getting their microphones adjusted. Oh man. And so they hear the opening number, and like apparently after speaking to them after it was fine, it went fine, but like it obviously started off their showcase already on a bad note.
Oh dude, that's rotten.
Because they all kind of like, they heard, oh there's the opening song, oh there's the opening song, oh no, and like how the scene starts anyways, they all frantically run on stage. But it's still like, you can tell it's like rehearsed, that it's a rehearsed frantic. But then the opening scene, I suppose it was more believable because it was genuine panic of like everyone running in at the wrong time. And what it resulted was, because you need to think about it from their perspective, this is their chance to get an agent or a casting director's attention.
Yeah,
and all
man,
that.
totally a gig.
And one of the girls came in at the wrong point of the line, so it meant that everybody in the band, thankfully we were all in tune enough to know that there was a problem and that we more or less had to jump ahead a bar to get them all back in sync.
Yeah.
But I think from their perspective and from our perspective as well, it kind of threw the band a little bit, and it threw the cast, and I think it overall that hour, it was just like there was that overarching feeling over everyone.
Yeah,
like,
totally, man. That's you done.
What I mean?
You just, and you're on the stage, right?
We're on the stage with them. Yeah.
This isn't like being on the stage with your band.
Yeah.
You can't let your face know.
Yeah.
Because if you let your face know, the room knows.
Yeah.
Because they're watching for these things.
Yep.
So, and you have to just carry on regardless. It's a really weird skill, eh?
It's really, really bizarre.
The great thing about it is you're not the fall guy.
Yeah.
So you can kind of wash your hands of it, and I mean that in the nicest possible way. So because the MD will get it.
Yeah.
Or whoever changed the cue.
Yeah. So what had apparently happened was, we were told that the light was supposed to go off, but like no one had told, or no one had informed us that like they were going to be fixing microphones or anything like that. So like he, as anyone would, he just saw a sound engineer frantically leaving and took that as, what are you doing? Why are you not starting? Just go.
So
you know?
Why on earth did they let the guy introduce it?
Oh no, like but like it's quite hard to explain. So they were more or less outside in the wings, ready to go, and obviously they heard that, and then one of them just must have said, "Oh, I've got a problem with my microphone." And the guy who cues the lights was also like, he was like the in-house techie. So he, or in-house technician, sorry. And so he like had to go and sort that problem with the microphone, because obviously it would feed back and everything, because it's like different microphones they obviously use. It's not like an SM57.
Yeah, no,
you know,
they're like they're really sensitive, super like they're like little tiny ones that are kind of taped to their face and all that.
Basically, or like they come up through their hair and sometimes taped to their forehead, that kind of thing. They're super sensitive mics, so if anything were to go wrong, like the feedback, and because we were all on in-ears as well, the feedback would have been horrific if it went wrong. So I see it from their perspective, but they were just like, oh, like, I mean, it wasn't, I'm probably making it sound like a much bigger deal than what it actually was, you know, but it definitely threw everybody at first.
Yeah, it's a big deal to them.
Yeah.
As a drummer, it's a different thing, you know, but your job is actually to support the cast. It's not about you, so yeah, it's all effective.
Yeah.
Not everybody is affected by it.
Yeah.
It's a shame.
It was a shame for that first performance, but obviously after we'd worked, like the kinks and all that, we worked out.
Yeah,
it was the last performance of the day was the best one, because everybody knew what was going on, and you could tell that the cast had relaxed a bit more as well, because even though it was still for agents, like they'd now done it, so they knew what to expect.
Sure.
Because the night before this is really, in my brain this is hard to explain, but it probably sounds super simple. But on the Wednesday, which was the day before the casting directors and agents came in, it was like family and friends and all that.
Yeah, right.
So obviously all the acting scenes, all the jokes were landing and they were just killing.
Yeah.
All the songs were hitting the right beats with the audience and everything, and obviously that built up everybody's confidence.
Yeah.
And then as soon as agents are in the room, like you do a scene that killed last night and just silence, you know, like radio silence completely. I think that threw them a bit as well, because they weren't sure what to expect, and as a band as well, you kind of, Dave Stewart even talked about this, like you're kind of a rolling circus when you're with a musical, especially if it's touring, but even in like local situations, you're basically in each other's pockets.
Oh, big time.
So like you get it, you get like, you almost like, if you've been speaking to a cast member backstage and like you get on quite well with them and you see something not work for them, like you do feel a bit like, oh man, that's rotten.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, totally, I get it.
And it's weird as a musician as well, because I got sent obviously all these songs, so I got contacted about this probably start of December kind of time, roughly, sent across all the songs to kind of get a heads up. And it's crazy because, especially in the theatre world, like what I learned is that it can be pretty ruthless, much like the music, like our industry as well, because there was a girl who was sounding great. We done a Sunday rehearsal, she sounded awesome. Monday rehearsal sounded great. Tuesday tech rehearsal sounded great. The Wednesday, i.e. the day of the very first show in front of family and friends, you could hear in her voice, because again those microphones are so sensitive, they pick up everything. You could hear in her voice that as soon as she went to hit like what would even be not even halfway through her vocal range, she was starting to croak.
Oh.
And what it turned out to happen was she got laryngitis.
Oh man.
So she wasn't feeling any pain, but as soon as she tried to move her vocal cords, so her song got cut. Which, from a musician's perspective, it's like you've spent 6 weeks learning a song that you could quite easily just not even play.
Oh yeah, man.
Know?
There's just nothing you can do.
Oh, of course, and like naturally, people can be quite upset about that. But it's just sometimes just it's a real kind of like test of your character as well if you can handle that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
She still got to do her acting scenes and all that, and she was fine, but.
But it's not why they're there, is it?
It's not. No, it's really not. So it was a little bit of a shame, but I mean,
did you have to play? Was it all just drum kit, or was there any percussion parts? Because in a lot of musical theatre, people end up doubling.
Yeah.
So what that means is they'll play more than one instrument. So reeds, like saxophone players, will play like 3 reeds. They'll play clarinet. They'll play sax. They'll play maybe 2 kinds of sax. They'll play tenor and baritone, or tenor and alto, or something.
I mean, for this showcase, I think because of the nature of it, these things aren't inherently necessarily about the band.
No.
And even more so at a showcase because they're there to see the person.
Mm-hmm.
So I think as long as we had the general idea, everything was fine.
Right.
Like, because a lot of the songs were ballads anyway, but there was a few kind of more rocky songs.
Yeah.
And then the ballads, obviously, I was just like cheesy cymbal rolls, like occasional swell on the floor tom, that kind of thing. But
Mark Tree,
totally, yeah. But for this kit, for this gig, the college provided me with the kit.
Right.
So much like when we went to go and see Alan Dale in the pit, he got provided with a kit. It was the same sort of thing here, which was helpful for me, and it was helpful for the guys because it was a Roland TD11 that I used.
Yeah, I haven't been there.
See, to be honest, man, it was great.
I broke a stick using one.
Did you?
I did.
I can't say I'm surprised, to be honest. Like, because they've obviously got the edge and stuff.
They're great. There's that misconception that you need to hit it.
Oh, yeah.
You end up playing it like you would play an acoustic kit.
Yeah.
Crazy.
And it's like the sound guy was even telling me, like, man, I can hear you hitting that acoustically over the PA. Like, it's an electronic kit. Like, chill out, dude.
Yeah.
I got this.
Yeah.
And it was like, you're right, because you approach it very differently. But it was handy for them because it was a small theatre anyway. Having a real kit would just been a nightmare.
Yeah.
Because you need to also factor in the fact that they've got hypersensitive vocal microphones. As soon as a ride cymbal goes down that.
Yeah, oh totally. You know. So was it just bass, piano and drums?
Bass, piano and drums. It was a 3-piece band. Super simple.
Okay.
And the MD was able to cover a lot of it. Alan's a great musician. Like he's really great, especially at keys. And he was like, as the show or as the performances and rehearsals kind of went on, we were able to fine tune things just a little bit more.
Yeah.
He was more. The biggest concern for him was that he was more. We were all in time with each other. You know, so like if there was little pushes in the music, we were all doing those pushes at the same time. You know, that kind of. He wasn't overly precious about sounds per se. I think if we were doing like really like old school like proper rock ballads, like there was a rock ballad kit on the TD11. And I think if we were doing stuff like that, he'd be like, use that because it'll give it at least the sound.
Sure.
But for most of it, I just made a user-generated kit.
Did you have to play any underscore? So when people are talking, when there's a scene going on, there's sometimes music?
Yeah. No, not for this. No.
Right.
So it was literally the songs, and then there was just separate acting scenes.
Right. Would you do it again?
I would absolutely do it again, yeah. I think it was really great. Purely because it's a gig I've not done, or I've never done that before. I've never done a showcase before.
Have you done a show?
I've done a show before.
Right, what show did you do?
I've did a few. So when I was at college with Alan, because he was in musical theatre, and what they did was, because I was a student, they got the student in the band, because in their way, the musical theatre see that as great, we've got a band. The musicians see that as great, we can we give the students experience.
Yeah, for sure.
So it was great for me. So musicals that I've done are a musical called Aida. Which, they used like music from Elton John. I think Elton John wrote a lot of the music for it. A really, really cheesy musical called Slice of Saturday Night. That probably tells you more than you need to know about that musical, but it was so much fun. And then the most recent one I did before this, a couple of years ago, was a musical called Spelling Bee.
Right.
Which was actually a lot of fun as well, because in that musical there's a lot of audience participation.
Oh, okay, cool.
So it's basically like a spelling bee, as the name suggests. So they get like real audience members to try and spell a word, but like they'll deliberately give them an impossible word to spell, so that they get out of the show. It's like super like they're in on it, but they're not in on it at the same time. You know? So that was good fun. And that band, it was just a 2-piece, so it was literally drums and keys.
Wow.
Because it was so...
Not any bass?
No bass. It was
any track?
No.
Wow.
So how I was covering drums and percussion on that. So I had setup wise, I had my kit. I had my little Questlove breakbeats, because it was like literally we were on stage with the show, but it was like, again, it was like college fun. So they weren't overly precious about it being like amazing.
Yeah.
In terms of like having like 4 guitars and all that kind of thing, because there just wasn't room for it, and there probably wasn't budget for it either, which is totally understandable. But they wanted to do at least get the idea. So I had a girl called Alison Cleland. I think she's now married. She's changed her name. She was playing keys and MD in it, and then I was obviously drums and percussion as well. That was a lot of fun because I got to use the SPDSX kind of almost as an octopad, so like using it for percussive different elements. And there was a scene, one of the scenes where it wasn't a song, but there was like an underscore. And it was like they were all spelling words as if it was like a dream sequence, and they were all like running around, like about 4 different students within the act are running up to the microphone and spelling out a word as quick as they can, and then it was going to the next one, and then it would speed up until one of them got the word wrong. And in the music, it was like about, it must have been a 6-piece band performing this one thing. So she was like, yeah, obviously 2 of us can't do that, so what can we do instead? So I was like, well, why don't I kind of make like a kind of a mock click track? Because it's the same idea, it's because it's going to gradually speed up. So how I had it set up, I had 2 Roland PD8 pads, one with a high like cowbell kind of thing, or it might have been actually been a
woodblock or something.
Like woodblock. One is a high woodblock, one is a low woodblock. So I would follow her hand, she would cue me, and I would just start going da do 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 da do.
Oh, cool.
Do. And then as she tells me to speed up, I'll just go da do 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 da do 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 da do do, because it's meant to get to the point where it just sounds ridiculous until someone gets a word wrong, and then you stop, because then that's they're out kind of thing. So that was a lot of fun because you learn, like, especially when you've got such a condensed band, you need to condense everything. You need to like make things things work. So that was a lot of fun, and like in that there was loads of like animal noises as well. In fact, during that show, like someone reminded me about it yesterday. During that show, there's a line where one of the actors says something about a dog barking, and I hit the wrong animal sample. It's like something like a dog barks, and you just hear, and it's like very obvious that it's me that's made a mess of it, and I'm just like hiding. Oh no! Amazing. I love doing the musical theatre stuff. I think it's really good fun. I don't think I would be able to do it all the time, but I think once in a while it's really good fun.
Yeah, I did a bunch of it as well. I've got varied experience in it. I did 2 shows while I was at college. I did Little Shop of Horrors, which was amazing fun, on a DTX 700 in a really tiny pit with like 1, 2 keyboards, bass, guitar, 2 horns, mental, and then I did Legally Blonde.
Oh, that must have been great fun.
It was amazing fun because that's an amazing play.
Yeah,
it opens with the drums, big fill in and all that. So I played that on a acoustic kit, and that had 3 keyboards, 2 horns, bass, guitar, and a percussionist.
Yeah.
And it was a really modern show.
Yeah.
That taught me really weird things, like, because it was all reading, and we had like 2 band calls, a tech rehearsal, a tech rehearsal, some dress rehearsals, and then a week of shows. It taught me to read the score before you get to play it, because there was one song in particular where in the middle of the tune there's a whistle blow that was in my pad and not the percussion pad, but it was so fast that I didn't have time to put the sticks down, grab the whistle, blow it and switch back. So I learned, because I missed it on the first band call, I learned the hard way that I had to sit with a whistle in my mouth for 2.5 minutes
until that one
blow, so the whistle was on a string round my neck. And the drums were
So you had to play that opening fill and all that as well with the whistle in your
Oh
mouth?
no, that was in a different number.
Oh, a different number.
But
okay.
yeah, I mean, it was like a 2.5 minute number. I mean, I think that particular song was about 10 minutes long, so it might have been slightly. It was a huge ensemble number, right in the middle of the first act, and because the whistle blow led into it was going from like a funk groove thing, and then I blow this whistle and the girl says, "Can I approach?" It's like can I approach the bench, and it became a samba number like from there. So I had to blow this whistle, but the drums were in a box, so they built me a box and with a screen in front of it and blacked out curtains, and the mics were super sensitive, super hot, much like yours were. So if I dropped this anywhere, the mics would pick it up.
Yeah.
So it had to hit me. I had to be around my neck so I could blow it. But it was like cracking those old drummer jokes about drummers drooling out the side of their mouth because you had to keep this in your mouth. But I also had a really bad cough.
Oh no!
So I was devouring Jakeman's sweets.
Yeah.
So I had a Jakeman's in one side of my mouth, a whistle in the middle of my mouth, trying not to drool, playing this roast of a tune for one whistle blow about 3 minutes in.
Wow.
But yeah, it really teaches you about getting your stuff together really quickly and being supportive.
Yeah.
We had a really interesting thing where the lead, have you seen, the film Legally Blonde?
Yeah.
Elle Woods, the girl who played Elle, and this happens a lot, was doubled.
So they had like an understudy and all
No.
Oh.
The role was shared.
Oh, okay.
So one night it was one girl, the next night it was another girl. One night, they were one on, one off. So if there was a matinee, it was never the same girl twice.
Right, yeah.
And it was really weird because they played it wildly differently.
Mm-hmm.
Like, man, so it made you play the songs they sung. You kind of had to not, but the way they sung it, and if they sung it behind the beat or in front of the beat, if they were belting, if they weren't belting, that kind of thing was really intriguing to see that.
Yeah.
You've just kind of got to do what the MD does, but the MD is a good pal of mine. Actually, I haven't seen him for a while because he's back in London. So we had a really great relationship, but it was like the first few numbers, he kept stopping the band. He's like, "Chris, why are you ahead of me? Like, every time we start a song, every time I bring in one, you're ahead of the whole band. What the hell's going on?" And it turned out that the way he threw his arm down to give one, his one was actually on the way back up.
Oh.
So what? It's almost like, if you can imagine writing a J in the air.
Right. One.
So, but the beat one is at the top of the curve of the J.
Right.
Instead of being where the bottom of the curve would be, so down.
Yeah.
So I was coming in on the downbeat when he actually meant it to be on the slight upbeat.
I mean, that's quite hard though, because I think anyone in your position would have thought the exact same.
Yeah, totally. Right. And we had a laugh about it, and we juked it, and we could juke it out because we were friends.
Yeah.
Like the rest of we were slagging each other and stuff, and the rest of the ensemble were kind of looking at us like, "Is this all right?" And he's like, right? "Look, we are really good pals. It's fine."
Yeah.
He was external. He was an external. He wasn't part of the college. He came in from outside.
Right.
So
okay. Right.
he could get away with it.
Yeah.
Speaking to me that way because he didn't really treat me as a student at the time.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So, but once we got that, it was fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, I loved it. I really loved both of those shows. I don't know how well I would do with touring.
I think touring would be the hard one.
Yeah,
touring would really be hard.
I think you have to have a band that you get on with really well.
Yeah. Well, I guess to relate it to like kind of commercial kind of music, it would be the same as that. Like, you still need to share a bus with these guys.
Totally, man. But the difference is that this has usually been fixed by someone, so you haven't picked who you're playing with. If you're in a band, or you're getting the depths yourself or whatever, you're kind of choosing who sits in the seat. But if you've been thrown together with people that you don't know or haven't worked with before, and there's personality clashes, and the next thing you know, you've got to spend 18 months every day together.
Yeah, that's hard.
Away from home and all that stuff. But the other experience I have of it, which I loved, I did this for 5 years, once a year at the Edinburgh Festival. It was a company called Baby Wants Candy, which was a completely improvised musical.
Oh, that's class.
It was amazing. So it's not a new concept, but they are probably the best at it. They come from America, and the idea is that they get a title. They're going to perform a musical that's never been performed before. So they get the audience to scream a title out, and they pick a title. They just pick whoever's picking the show picks the one they hear the loudest, and then they that's the title, and we go.
Yeah.
So like we played one called Kanye West Side Story. And
that's class.
The cast turned it into a love story between Kanye West and Taylor Swift, because it was just at the time Kanye had invaded the Grammy stage because Taylor won a Grammy.
That's right.
And we made it a country and western musical instead of a hip hop musical and all that. So brilliant. It was amazing. So things like that, you know. And what would happen is they would get the title and the MD would just call a style, a key, and start playing, and you just had to go.
Yeah,
that was it, you know. So we just didn't know what it was going to be called. We didn't know what we were going to get. He might just look at me and go like metal, so I would just have to play like another metal beat, you know. So having like an understanding of styles and I mean, it didn't have to be super technical, man. It was like just generally
as long as you got the idea,
play another kind of metal beat or something. Like I'm playing with rods and stuff because the band were on the stage. It was a really tiny. It was actually in a lecture theatre in Edinburgh for the festival. You know, the show has a 15-minute turnaround from the show that was on before it. So that band have to get whatever that show is has to get off the stage, and we have to get on the stage. My drums are under the stage, so you're trying to do it like that. The show that was on, what I remember one year, the show that was on before, excuse me, was two guys playing Tubular Bells. It was called Tubular Bells for Two, and they performed the entire Tubular Bells album on their own.
What?
It's one of the greatest things I've ever seen in my life.
Wow.
But they had like Tubular Bells on the stage.
Yeah.
So they had like a kit. Luckily, we managed to hook it up so we kit shared, so the kit didn't have to move. It just had to kind of shuffle a little.
Yeah.
But they had to get basically all the instrumentation for Tubular Bells off of the stage whilst we got a band on the stage. So, you know, and the boys were obviously using their gear, their amps, all that stuff. We had to get monitors in place where they had been marked and all that stuff. So that was wild. That taught me about like quick turnaround times and just being cool. Like, just don't be the guy that's in everybody's road, man.
Yeah, and also like if you're trying to say like, because we all do the same thing if we're playing like a gig in a club and like the sound guy like helps us set up the microphones and all that, like, and we instinctively like do you want any help, man? It's just like we just do it, it's in our nature. But like those guys are like, no, like it will slow me down if you get in my way, kind of thing, you know what I mean? And you think like, it's like, this doesn't feel right, I shouldn't be helping them, or I should be helping them, but like you're just gonna get in their way and it's just gonna make things longer.
You know, it's things like when he tells you to stop playing.
Yeah.
Like if you sound checking the drums, right, drums are done, guitar, shut up.
Yeah.
Don't speak.
Don't say a word.
Don't play.
Yeah.
Don't fart about, don't adjust your stool. You know, you're in for the night, sorry. Yep. You know, if the hi-hat pedal's slightly uncomfortable, because then you can't do it during a scene.
No.
Because you can't make any noise. Just deal with it.
Yep.
It taught me how to not be precious about what I'm playing.
Yeah.
You know, like, just deal with it. And we would play like 20-minute house jams while they were bringing the audience in. So they were trying to get like 300 people, 400 people into this theatre.
Yeah.
And we were just jamming.
Yeah.
Like the MD would just pick something and we would just sit on that for 20 minutes. The guys, the shop came to see it one night. They totally surprised me one night and came. Oh, no everybody way. Came to see it. But the MD would do things like just in the middle of the jam, just point at me and be like, solo. Pull all that stuff out.
Just do it, yeah.
Lots of fun, you know. You have no idea what you're going to play. You have no idea how it's going to go. You know, I've been like, you know, people have been trying to take my clothes off me on stage because that's where the plot of the show went. And so,
seriously, what?
Mate,
wild.
Yeah, all sorts of crazy bonker stuff.
That like, sounds brilliant.
It was brilliant. Unfortunately, it became a little too. It wasn't financially viable.
Yeah.
You know, these guys are always on a budget, and if I lived in Edinburgh, then the gig fee would have been maybe okay, but it just, you know, I had to, in the end, just kind of part ways. And it was a bit sad, you know, because they were brilliant, but I did it for like 5 solid years.
Yeah.
But it was rad.
That sounds awesome. I think I would love to do that.
It was great, fun. Man. It was really, like, I remember like ended up playing like a Calypso Caribbean thing one night, like just cranking my snare drum up to make it try and sound like a steel drum, and you know, take the snares off, and just wild stuff. Like always had a Mark III, you know,
somewhere.
Scene change, Mark III.
Yep, of course.
Mark III or chimes. That's what the musical theatre called chimes for people that don't know. cowbells and wood blocks and one ride, one crash hats.
Yeah.
All that kind of crazy stuff.
Oh, dude, when I was doing the Aida musical, this was the first musical I'd ever did, and I wasn't playing it ever done. Sorry, grammar correcting myself here. The guy's always got on at me with my spelling in here, and you guys probably notice it in videos as well. So yeah, I know.
He's working on it.
I'm dealing with it. But I was playing percussion for this musical.
Oh.
I wasn't playing drums, I was playing percussion.
Hand percussion or tune percussion?
Like hand percussion.
Right.
Like, so...
Congas, bongos.
Yeah. I sat, the whole show, with a djembe between my legs.
Oh, dear.
Which, it was a big djembe.
Aye.
Which, in some instances, might sound quite erotic, Christopher, but I can assure you it was not.
No.
But I had if you look at the percussion score for this musical Aida, it is massive.
Right.
But bear in mind, it's a college doing it.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, let's scale this back. What percussion have you got?
Yeah. Aye.
Okay, let's use that.
Aye.
But it was so funny because there was a guy, I'm not going to name him, probably for legal reasons, because he was a bit of a maniac, but he was a lovable maniac. He was the college techie
right
at the time.
Okay.
And I remember, like, he would hang out with a band. Like, what I've now learned about this college techie is that he wasn't, like, ever trained to be a techie. He was actually a chef.
Wow.
And he just blagged his way into being a college techie.
Wow.
So, like, that's to give you an idea of, like, the professionalism here.
Aye.
Right? Anyway.
That dude was high a lot, wasn't he?
Like, I've never seen him not high.
Yeah.
Put it like that. And other things. Hence why I can't name him for legal reasons. So I remember overhearing him on the phone one time because he read the percussion thing as well, and like the MD just like offhand said, like, let's try and get as much of this percussion as possible. Right? Before he then realises, like, oh, actually, wait a minute, let's just work with what we've got. So I overheard him on the phone to a hire company trying to hire a timpani. Like,
wow.
But it wasn't, it was like, excuse me, I'm wondering if you can help me, I'm looking for one of the timpanis.
Oh no.
Right. I'm like, oh god. Right. And then he read Mark Tree, which I then found out was key chimes. I was like, oh Alan, I've not got a key chime. And the techie, I'll call him the techie, goes like, sorry wee man, I'll make you one. But he thought key chime was literally like actual, you know how like keys you get cut for your house?
Oh.
Like he thought it was that, just at different sized keys. Like,
I mean,
like, to be fair, right?
Aye, I mean that's out the box. That.
That's like, I mean.
Did you use them?
Oh no. It's funny how they all sounded the same.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
He was mental. He's the kind of guy, like, he would banter with the cast.
Right.
By, like, they would have, like, Alan has a big, huge keyboard flight case. And, like, there was one of the cast members in this particular year who was, like, just, like, quite small. And he was like, I bet you could fit in that. And she was like, oh, okay. And so she kind of, like, lies in it. And then next thing, he shoves her in it and puts the lid down, locks it and starts spinning it. This poor girl, man.
Was she sick at it?
She comes out and she's just like shaking, and he's like, ha ha ha, that's a good laugh, innit? Like, oh no. He now works in Australia.
Right.
I've probably said too much now. Anyway, it was funny. But that musical was great because it was all percussion.
Aye. It's just great for your styles, really.
Yeah.
I think that's the thing that's a wee bit lost now when people are learning to play drums.
Mm-hmm.
They don't learn to play like a bossa nova.
Yeah.
Like, so that, like, Little Shop of Horrors goes through like doo-wop and then like P-funk, man. Like, there's do you know what Little Shop of Horrors is about?
I do, kind of, yeah.
It's like that giant alien plant that eats people.
Yeah.
Called Audrey 2. And you see, there's a song, a really famous song called Feed Me.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like amazing funk.
Yeah.
So you've gone from like 50s doo-wop playing like 12/8 get to like playing
straight up funk.
Yeah. Tower of Power, like just laying it down, and then you play a rock tune, and then there's really orchestral tunes. It's like it's great for all sorts of things. Great for your reading. Learning to read a bar of 3/2 instead of a bar of 6/4 was like, oh wow, that's a roast.
Yeah.
Instead of, like, you know, things like that.
we talk about this, you and me, sometimes in the shop about like sight reading gigs, because like I guess it's good that we've now got a podcast because we can like have these conversations recorded. But because if anyone doesn't know, me and Chris would probably be having these conversations anyway, like just not recorded, and probably have done.
I think so.
But we've often discussed the fact about sight reading, and like it's really important, but it's good to learn how to do it. But it's one of those things that if you don't do it frequently, you almost forget how to do it.
Oh, big time! I'm going to do another show. Segue. And I've just been given the score. I'm going to do Oliver as an Amdram thing in February, depping for someone, and I've already started reading through, and I'm like, I'm glad I'm not sight reading this. Because there's tune percussion parts in it that thankfully I don't have to play, but it's all over the place, like in terms of like, you know, you've got a bar and then you're playing some jam blocks and then you're playing a triangle and then because it's an old school musical, Oliver. It's like almost Rodgers and Hammerstein-esque. I don't know if they maybe did write it. So it's all like it's all percussion and drums. There's hardly any drum kit. It's all like snare drum and bass drum, polka stuff, doom check, all that. So yeah, I'm glad I don't have to sight read it. I also wouldn't like. I just think that's an amazing skill. Like that's next level stuff.
If you can just read something,
like
on the fly.
If you've got an emergency dep, like Alan Dale will talk about. We'll get him to talk about this because when he moved to London, he was depping on 11 shows at once or something crazy because he can read.
Wild.
He can basically read like batshit on the wall, man. The guy can read anything. So like, there's if your part's not marked up or something, there's lots of surprises on that. I've heard those horror stories of guys getting into dep and the drummer who's been on it hasn't marked up the part with any cues or anything. So the drummer's like basically guessing. Which if people are paying like £100 a ticket in the West End in London, that's not really that great.
No, it's not. You expect everything to be top dollar, like.
Well, yeah, because I think and Alan and I have discussed this at length, is that whilst you might be on show 300, it's the first time somebody in the front row's seen it.
Oh yeah, big time.
So you
can't phone it in.
No, you really can't. And I've sat in pits where guys have.
Yeah.
You know, I've seen some interesting stuff. You know, being in the pit, just casually observing.
Yeah.
I'm not slagging it off because I'm not on that side of it. I haven't done 16 months of touring the same show.
Yeah,
you know,
playing literally the same thing. Every night, because I know some wedding musicians talk about like, oh, every weekend I'm playing the same songs, but they're never really the same.
No,
because you might be playing the same melodies and the same beats, but they'll be in something inherently different, whether you're playing it faster or like you're throwing a different fill or all that kind of thing. But like the musical theatre thing, you're literally playing the same thing note for note every night.
It could, and 9 times out of 10,
sometimes twice in a day,
it's clicked. Because of the dance numbers, you know, so the dancers have to be in time. You can't change, you can't push, you can't pull. None of that stuff. So yeah, it's literally verbatim. So yeah, I think that would be a challenge, I think. You know, and I wouldn't like to have to use a sight reading skill to do that regularly.
That would be quite scary. I think sometimes, like, if I'm lying awake at night and I can't sleep, I think of like what would be the most scary scenario I could be in as a musician, and I think getting asked to dep on a West End show that was mid-run would be terrifying.
I think
with no rehearsal.
I don't disagree with you, but I think it would all depend on the show.
Do you think so?
Yeah, because there'll be stuff in your wheelhouse.
Yeah.
So if you had to dep on, let me see, you know, if you had to, I don't know, everybody's talking about Jamie, but from what I understand, it's a bit groove orientated, so that might be a little easier for you than if you were to dep on Rent.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Or Wicked. Or
something. Yeah, Wicked's a great example because that's mental.
Yeah.
And I've sat in a pit for Wicked that really is mental. But then if you were to dep on The Bodyguard, you might be alright.
Yeah.
You know, because a lot of those songs you know or have
basically,
heard.
I'm Every Woman and all that. Yeah.
You know, I Will Always Love You, all that stuff. You'll have heard those tunes in your life, maybe even played them in your life.
Probably.
So it wouldn't be so bad, you know, like you know, Addams Family or something would be mental, but then Shrek might not be, you know, just I guess it would really depend on the show for me. I just don't think I wouldn't put myself in that position.
Yeah.
It would have to be like super, like there's no one else.
Mm-hmm.
Like everybody will die if you do not dip this
Yeah.
shit. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
but then I also think that if you've got enough experience playing music, you can kind of use that to your advantage.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you don't have to necessarily always. Well, you do have to read it, but you can get the gist of it.
Yeah.
You know, if it says funk and it's like 110 beats a minute and the click
Mhm.
comes on, you kind of know what that's going to be like.
Yeah.
You know, and you know not to play all the notes.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just play it really super simple and let yourself get through it. It's kind of like driving somewhere new.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you don't do anything crazy. Like,
Well, you know how to drive.
Yeah.
It's just you haven't driven that road.
Okay. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
that
you
makes
kind
sense.
of physically know how to play the instrument, and you probably have a rough idea of how to play all the beats.
Mm-hmm.
Just don't play them crazy.
Yeah.
You know, don't decide to play them left-handed or something.
I just
You know what I mean?
throw
You know what I
in
mean?
that fill that you've never done before.
It's kind of like
Yeah.
you've dipped with other bands that you have never played with before, and you've probably dipped, and they've probably pulled out tunes you've never heard before,
Mm-hmm.
and you're like, right, just count it off.
Yeah.
I'll get there.
Yeah.
You know, just watch somebody for the starts and stops.
Basically, yeah. See, with the musical theatre thing, do you
Uh-huh.
think you would ever go down the route of a cruise ship?
Nah,
Nah. You
Nah.
don't do that?
no thanks. No thanks.
Nah.
No, I wouldn't want to be away from home.
Yeah.
You know, I would have to be in a very, very different place in my life. And even at that, I think that would be really dull, man.
You think so? Yeah.
Well, you just live in a 2 foot, well, a 6
2
foot by 12 foot box or something.
Yeah.
You know, you got to use the staff entrances. You can't, you know what I mean? It's all a
Mhm.
bit like upstairs, downstairs,
Yeah.
a bit Downton Abbey where the servants are
servants'
underneath.
quarters.
You know.
Yeah. What was interesting, the reason I brought that up is because what Alan was saying to me over the past couple of days was that a lot of the musical theatre guys will like try and get into the West End and things like that, and then they'll get offered a cruise ship contract, and then some of these guys you'll just never see again because they're just always on and off ships. And it's a bit like that for musicians as well. Like, sometimes doing a cruise gig is like, great, I've got paid work for the next 18 months or whatever, but then they come back and they've got like nothing.
Well, I do know folk that have done it, and literally when they came home couldn't get arrested.
Yeah.
Like no work.
Yeah.
They've gone offshore
Off the
for
radar.
6 months,
Mhm.
come back, and they can't get a gig. You know,
Yeah.
so. But then I know a guy who went and did it, and it paid for his third year at college.
Well, yeah.
Like, he was just, and he came back and he was grand. You know.
Yeah.
I think it depends on there's a whole load of factors, but it's not for me, man.
Yeah.
I don't
never
think
been
it's
your
for me.
thing.
Nah.
I thought about doing it a few years ago because I thought that would be quite cool. It's a chance to kind of see the world a little bit and
Mm-hmm.
that kind of side of it. But then you're right. One of my friends who I'm now playing a band with was, I don't even know if I can tell this story, but I'm going to tell it anyway because I think it's funny. He got sacked from a cruise ship.
Oh wow.
Sacked from a cruise ship gig. The first, because apparently it's like, I suppose it's a bit like everywhere else. You get like warnings and things like that.
Yeah.
But I think what had happened was the MD on that particular run, like something like said like, oh, we don't have a rehearsal, and so he was like, all right, okay, and so he like either he didn't go to rehearsal or there was a rehearsal and he just like, I can't remember what happened basically, but anyway, he more or less had an argument with the MD, and like the MD was like don't have an argument with me, like why are you doing that kind of thing. And then he in his defence, he probably shouldn't have said it, but he told him basically F off.
Uh-huh.
And then he was like, nah, get out kind
Wow.
of thing. So yeah,
That'll be that. So that all that hard work is just done because you're a bit mental.
a wee bit. Well, I mean, I think he was more like him and the MD, you know, that way sometimes you just meet someone and you just lock
Aye.
horns a little bit.
Yeah, well that's it. You know, that's one of the reasons I guess I wouldn't want to be stuck in a ship with them.
Well, yeah, exactly, because you don't know kind of what you're getting into.
No.
Much like, to take it back kind of full circle, why you wouldn't want to really go on a tour, because the company have picked the band.
Yeah,
like, you've
totally.
not,
But
you know.
like, it's even more not heated. What's the word? Concentrated on a ship. Imagine you get sick.
Oh, that's it. It's like,
There's nowhere to go.
yeah,
You know, you get off the boat once once every 5-6 days maybe,
Mm-hmm.
if they dock, depending on where they're going.
Yeah.
Like, man, I don't do well sick at home, so
Yeah.
sick at sea,
In a big
yeah.
sardine can. Yeah.
Yeah, just no thanks, man.
Yeah.
You know, not got the constitution for it. Not banging anybody that wants to do it, man. Folk, yeah, you know.
Yeah. Because you can make a great living doing it.
You can.
as well,
It takes all kinds and all that, you know. You know, every time they dock to get a new artist on, you know, so you're playing new stuff regularly and all that.
Yeah, yeah. I would love to get on this podcast. I would like to get someone who's either just come back from doing it or is about to go and do it, and who's done it before. I think that would be quite cool to get someone from that perspective, because obviously we've never actually done it, so we wouldn't like getting someone on who's got that perspective of it. I think it would be quite interesting.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
People need to let us know as well, like if you want to hear that kind of stuff, because like how we've been kind of rolling is we've basically been talking to people we think would be quite interesting to have on, because it's different perspectives, like Paul Savage, Louis Abbott,
yeah,
you know,
just
Dave Stewart, the guys who are doing that kind of thing. So it'd be quite interesting, I think. Like,
yeah. We, like you say, we don't have that perspective, so if someone could give us that perspective, that'd be great.
that'd be awesome.
Alan Dale might have. I know we're supposed to be time in with Alan at some point when he comes back up. So I can't remember off the top of my head if he has done that or not. So yeah, we can ask him.
Yeah,
for sure. But big time if there's anybody else. What if you could do any show?
Any West End show,
or any musical that you know?
I would like to do, and I don't know if there's an actual band for this. I would need to check. If there is, I would love to do Book of Mormon.
Right.
Because that music, have you ever seen it?
No.
It's hilarious.
Right, okay.
It's
Trey Parker and Matt Stone.
Yeah, to give you, it's for anyone who doesn't know, it's the Book of Mormon is written by the same people who write South Park. So that should basically tell you everything you need to know.
Yeah.
It's hilarious. It's such a good show. For like conventional musicals, I don't know. I think it'd be really hard. There's some great musicals.
Lion King would be a good pop.
Lion King would be cool.
I'd like to look at In the Heights.
In the Heights, yeah. One of the songs in the showcase was from In the Heights.
Was it super Latin-y?
Yes.
Aye.
It was called a song called Breathe.
Right.
Which had it was very ballady up until a point where it absolutely wasn't ballady anymore.
I nearly got last minute called to go and do. Oh, that show's gone from my head. Is there an ABBA based one? Mamma Mia. Yeah,
Mamma Mia,
I nearly got the call to go do Mamma Mia.
Oh, cool! That
like
cool.
like last minute. The drummer was being sick out at both ends apparently. The
delightful.
keys to her MD was a girl I went to college with, and it was in town. It was in Glasgow. She was like, "Can you help me out?" But it transpired that they were fine in the end. I didn't need to go and do it, but that would have been lots of fun, you know. So straight onto Spotify and listen to the cast recording, and
just work it out
so that there's no major surprises. That's the great thing about Spotify now. Pretty much every show will be on there somewhere.
That's it. So I guess for advice for people who have never done theatre stuff before, and you get the score through, 90% of the time it'll be available for you to at least listen to it, just so you get the idea.
Yeah.
Even if you're not the strongest reader, because I'm not the strongest reader in the world. So I like having that as like a point of reference, or even what I did for Spelling Bee, because that wasn't on at the time. That wasn't on anything I could listen to. I found just a random like American like amateur production of it and just watched it. So just so I got the idea of exactly how it was supposed to go. And even though there was like sections that the production had changed and like maybe just simplified things a little bit more, like it was more or less the same.
Right.
Which is helpful, especially if you've not read in a while or you haven't read ever and you just want to follow something to watch and follow the score along to see if you can follow it.
For sure. There's so much of it available now.
Yeah.
It's interesting to see or look at how musicals have changed over the years, that have gone from like Oklahoma or My Fair Lady to In the Heights or to something a wee bit more rocky, you know. Jesus Christ Superstar, I think Dave was talking about that. Oh no, Joseph, sorry, he was Joseph, on it. That they basically didn't stop playing for the whole show. That's basically because all the dialogue is sung. That's another thing that can be different per musical. The dialogue can be sung versus spoken, so depending on the show. I would love to do West Side Story.
West Side Story would be great.
I think that would be great. I nearly got to do West Side Story at college, but because I had finished, they didn't have the budget to bring me in,
Yeah.
so they got a student to do it.
Yeah.
But it was a great production. The RCS, actually, to be fair to them, their musical theatre department's amazing.
Yeah.
The productions, I remember being in Legally Blonde and sitting in, I think there was a break on Tech Day. We'll talk about Tech Day in a minute, but there was a break and I was sitting in the auditorium and I was just like, man, looking at the stage, like the set, this is a stage production. This is a college production, sorry. Like, how good is this set?
Yeah, it's great.
It was really easy to forget that. They did a great version of Tommy one year as well. Tommy would be a good show.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen.
It's the Who musical.
Oh, right, cool.
It's like Pinball Wizard, and that's where all that came
Wow,
from.
cool.
Because that's the story of Tommy, the deaf, dumb, and blind kid that could play the mean pinball.
Yeah.
It's dark.
Yeah.
Like the subject matter's dark, but the music in it's all Who songs. So yeah, that would be rad.
That'd be fun.
How was your Tech Day? Tech Day, for people that don't know, is when the stage management team and the MD get together and basically block out anything that has to happen. So Adam and I have both done a Tech Day. I did it with an MD and a keys player, and you basically play for 3 bars and they stop and change how something's going to be lit.
Yeah.
Play for 6 bars, stop, change how something's going to be lit for around about 10 hours.
Yeah. Oh, it's a long day. Thankfully, my Tech Day wasn't as long as that.
Yeah.
Because it was a really small theatre and effectively a really small production.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't as intense.
Yeah.
I think we had to get to the theatre for like 10 a.m. and we were done by about 5:30, 6:30ish, which isn't. It's still long, but like in between that, there was lots of breaks where like the band weren't even there. Like, we could go and
Were
get
the cast
lunch.
there?
Cast were there.
Right.
And they were obviously working out where to put like roster blocks and all that kind of thing,
blocking
like
and
all that kind of stuff. Yeah,
where dance numbers will start and finish, and
where they're entering and exiting from, and like if they're coming from behind the curtain or through the door or all that kind of thing.
Yeah, so where the light follows them onto the stage and off the stage, and when to black out and when to fade up, and
all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's a long ass day.
There is time, like my first musical, I remember the Tech Day being extremely long.
Really?
Like, because that musical, the AIDA musical where I was playing percussion, like there was still a drummer, but it was my lecturer who was playing kit for that musical.
Right.
And they thought to start bringing in students. It was a student bass player who was, funnily enough, playing bass for the showcase there.
Right.
And I was playing percussion, and then it was like everyone else. Oh, I think there was 2 student guitarists as well, and then there was MD Alan, that other girl Alison. She was also playing keys, and then it was my Scott Kelly.
I know Scott.
He was my lecturer,
right?
So he was in the pit for that one as well. So it was a great band. Like, the band was such good fun. Like, we all got on really, really well, and like it was just a big band. But it was like, again, because it was in a bigger place, like the Tech Day was pretty brutal, and it was like play 4 bars, stop.
Yeah. Was the whole band there for it though?
Whole band was there for
it. That's not so bad. At least there's banter.
Yeah, we all had a good time. But then it was like, as soon as the front of house people call for something to happen, like it needs to happen ASAP.
Yeah.
You know, and same when it needs to stop.
Yeah. It's like learning things like you shouldn't be on the stage at certain points, you know.
Oh yeah.
When they're bringing down the lighting rig and all that, you can't be there.
Yeah, because it's like, I learned that when I was doing the rig rundown with Johnny Scott.
Yeah, right.
Because it was like they had to literally, like me filming was holding up the whole production.
Yeah.
Because they could do anything on stage until I was off it. And I kind of learned that the hard way a little bit, because the stage manager came over and he was like, "Are you done?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "Yep."
Yeah.
Even though I wasn't in my head, but like obviously when someone who's in a much higher paying grade than
when you're getting something for nothing.
Well,
you know.
Exactly. When I'm just there, I'm just appreciative of the experience.
Yeah.
And he's like trying to get a job done, like for a sold out 10,000 cap or whatever the Hydro is.
It's kind of crazy.
Show. And he's still got 1,000,001 things to do.
Yeah.
And I'm a very small part of that.
Aye. And you're just like a little buzzy fly.
Literally, yeah. Like, he's probably like forgot I was gone. Like, I forgot I was even there 10 minutes after I left. So like Tech Days, like, what's your experience of a Tech Day?
Well, pretty much the same as yours, but it was just the MD and a keyboard player and me.
Oh, okay, so there was only 3 of you.
Yep.
Right.
So, and I think there was cast at some parts and there wasn't cast at other parts, and things like, because it was a college production as well, the cast were like talking shit on the stage when they should have been quiet. So the MD and the director, and rather not the MD but the director's getting narky, and it's just making the day go on. And so it was literally like a 10-12 hour day. I think I was in first thing. I actually had to dodge classes to do it. I was in from about 10 a.m. to about 10 p.m.
Wow.
Yeah,
it was a long day.
Yeah, it was a long 9 till 9 or something. It was like a 12-hour day or something.
Did you get breaks to go and get like food?
Yeah. It wasn't in the pit for the whole day, but it was a long day.
Yeah, it was a roast.
It was a roast. Worthwhile, but it's tough, man. It's tough. That's when you really have to take yourself out of it.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's not actually about how you feel about it. You're just there to do a job, you know.
Yeah, basically.
And how well you do that job, you know.
I think as well, like, there's gaining a lot of perspective about it, because I think sometimes people, Alan was telling me, certainly, like, there's guys that they would sometimes get in and they've literally, like, they're just seeing it as like a paycheck. You know,
I've played with those guys, man.
Yeah. It's kind of like quite disheartening, because like I was talking about at the top of the conversation, like, you are in each other's pockets, and I think the better you get on with everyone, the more it means that, like, no, let's actually make a go at making this brilliant.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And if there's someone there who's just there because they know they're getting X amount at the end of it,
totally.
Do you know what I mean? It just it kind of kills the buzz a little bit.
Yeah, man. I've done it with guys getting drunk.
Getting drunk?
Seriously? Not getting drunk, but like maybe going to the pub for a pint halfway through the day and all that. You know.
Yeah.
I've heard mental stories about people going to sit in and the show starts at 7:30. And at like 7:26, the drummer is still in the pub across from the theatre, ordering a pint. Walk in, finish the pint. It's a great story, and I'm not going to name names, but the drummer walked into this. He finished the pint. He walked from the pub into the stage door, down the stairs, through to the band pit, and he was in a box. So opened the box, and my pal says that by the time he'd taken his jacket off, the boy had hit the crashes for the first number. Started the first number, finished the first number, nicked out to the loo, came back and hit the crashes for the second number.
What?
He just had it dialed in. He'd been doing the show that long that he had it. He knew exactly
where to be when.
Where to be when.
Wow.
Yeah, all that stuff. I've heard guys busting their ass. Heard stories of guys busting their ass to get a gig, and then on first rehearsal are reading the paper while they're playing. Like all sorts of mania, and you're just
that's
like,
crazy.
Yeah, because they think, oh, I'm in now, I've got a gig. Like, well, you're not really.
That's like, that'd be like, if you, like, where else would that fly? Do you know what I mean?
Well, that's it. It just wouldn't. And I think it's getting better. From what I hear, things like brass players especially are bossing the pit a wee bit more. Like, you know, they're making sure the band, between them and MDs, making sure the band kind of pull their weight a wee bit, because a lot of brass guys, especially trumpet players, come from brass band where it's super disciplined. They just wouldn't get away with it. So by all accounts it's getting much better, but yeah, there was a period where you hear some mental stories, not stories we kind of talk about here, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's all sorts of mania.
That's wild.
Yep.
That's absolutely crazy. Have you, so when you're playing a show, right, I don't know about you, but for me, like, is there ever a show where you think, like, man, that was quite bad? Not quite bad, but like everything wasn't as tight as it maybe was the night before.
Yeah.
For me,
I've played a show where a guy got progressively worse.
Oh, really?
One of the keyboard players got, like, at the beginning of the week could play a certain part in a certain song. By the end of the week couldn't.
Just couldn't do it.
Really weird.
That's weird. I think for me, it's kind of weird, in every production I've played for, the worst show of the run is always the second day matinee.
Oh wow, okay, that's precise.
It's really, do you know why though? Right, I've pinpointed it down because the night before you've played, like, the first night, the opening night, so you've already got that pre-show adrenaline. Everybody's like, this is the first night, we need to, like, obviously nail it, like, and then inherently, because everyone's so focused, everybody nails it, right? But then you're coming in the next day after having just played in your mind, like, that was a great show, let's more of the same, but you're coming in to do the same thing again, but you're coming in cold. Like, everyone's just kind of like coming at the pit at, like, maybe like 5 minutes to the show, like, you've not had time to warm up, whereas like maybe the day of the rehearsal you've had like a rehearsal in the day, so you kind of run through things, whereas you're going into the show cold straight away.
We were always in the pit half an hour before the show.
Ready?
Yeah,
Right.
we were made to be in the pit, and any notes that needed noted, like the MD would be there and be like, so this on this didn't work, or this on this did work, so can we keep, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
like, because horn players have got to warm their lip up and things.
Yeah, things
so
like that, yeah.
yeah, I don't, I totally get where you're coming from, and I can see the logic. I don't recall there being a specific show, but I there has been shows where I remember being at college, right, and we used to do, it was for the musical theatre department, but they called it was this really weird thing called Swinging Into Christmas,
Right.
where the big band played with the musical theatre department, and they put on this Christmas show.
Right, okay.
But there was never really any Christmas in it.
What?
Yeah, it was weird. And because it was theatre and the band were just there to help them out, they would do bonkers things. And I remember one year, the rhythm section, so drums, bass, piano, guitar, were all on one side of the stage, and all the horns were on the other side of the stage. And I'm talking like 100 feet between us.
Right.
So like the trumpet player, the fourth trumpet, who was like 120 feet away, couldn't hear the ride cymbal.
That's mental.
And then they decided to do this really weird swing version of Love on Top by Beyonce. But for a laugh, let's bring the bass player at the front. So the bass player had to get, like, he was playing an acoustic upright bass, right? So he's now got no monitoring because he's
in front of the stage.
He was at the front of the stage,
right?
And they were like, he was playing the bass line. It was like a walking bass line, and they had to get like a 40-foot XLR for the boy.
Wow.
And somebody chopped a bar off.
No.
One of the singers just cleaned a bar off.
Oh no.
And the bass player had his back to the band,
Yeah.
so couldn't see.
Yeah.
And the MD was a student, and he looked at his score,
thoughts,
and he mouthed, "Oh fuck," to me,
no.
because he realised straight away that he hadn't put rehearsal marks on his parts. So for anybody that doesn't know, a rehearsal mark is usually a letter A, B, C, D. So he couldn't all of a sudden tell the band to jump to letter C, because if he had a rehearsal mark on it, he knew what had happened, we knew what had happened. He could have just said to the band, like, go to letter D, letter C, whatever, and then we're in. Thankfully the band were all switched on enough,
Yeah.
and saved this guy's ass and this girl's ass, and the band played it. We all caught the same figure at the same time and went to the next section and saved this, including the bass player who's
saved
like,
Christmas.
yeah, who's like 30 feet out in front of us with his back to us, just. And this lassie burst into tears as she ran off the stage. And then the worst of it was they blamed the band.
What? Seriously?
Yeah, somebody blamed the band somehow. They're like, no, we just saved this lassie's ass and the MD because he's got no.
We just saved Christmas.
That's like, you know, I got rehearsal marks in your part, bro. Like that's like arranging 101.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you need to have that. So naturally the part got changed. So we, you know, by the evening show, we've all got a new part for this.
Oh, funny.
You know, so you can put rehearsal marks on it. He was dead vibey, that guy, and he ended up getting his ass kicked a bit by the staff because that, you know, like, you should know to do this, man. This, you know, he was a master's student, so he'd already done an undergrad. So he'd already done 4 years of study, and come over and and just mental.
Yeah.
You know,
that's pretty grim. Like.
it was grim. It was really bad. And I remember, like, we did Proud Mary that year. There's this, like, inverted commas Motown arrangement, and something went wrong on that because one of the singers did another thing, and like when your band is 50 feet to 100 feet apart, trying to fix that just because it looks pretty, and like they would do really weird things like shine weird lights onto the music, so the band are like, we can't read our parts. How do you expect us to do this? Or you'll just figure it out. Like,
no,
figuring it out on the stage to a paying audience is not cool. You know, that's like, not how this works.
They're not paying to sit and watch people figure it out.
They're not.
You know, unless it's like that musical where you are literally having to figure
totally.
it out and they go.
But then there's no parts.
They know what they've signed up for as well. You know.
So I've seen weird stuff like that happen. You know, where you just kind of have to get through it. You know, you just figure it out.
What's the worst thing you've heard about from a technical perspective? For me, I was telling someone about this earlier on today. One of the worst ones I've heard about was there was a production of Jack and the Beanstalk, which I guess is a panto, but it production of Jack and the Beanstalk, and all the actors were basically waiting for a digital giant that that never appeared.
Right.
And it's just like, oh, okay.
Wow.
Because what had happened was the techie for the theatre closed the program and was trying to reboot it, but it took so long to reboot that it was like at the point of like no return.
Oh no! A girl in it, keyboard player, Keys 2 on Legally Blonde. Her main stage went down.
Oh no!
And we just lost Keys 2 for the entire first act. So like she might have been doubling on flute parts or something.
Yeah.
You know, that might say, oh, there's like 3 keyboards. Why is that a bad thing? Well, she might be playing something that people take a cue from.
Yeah.
So a cast member might be waiting to hear something.
Yeah.
In order to say a line, or you know, you don't know how their process is gone. So it's
people really underestimate how like involved the music is, despite being effectively quite a small part of it. Really, like when you think about it, because there's just certain melodies that the cast are listening for, so they know to come in at the right time.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
So
right.
yeah, we lost Keys 2. She came back for the second act because she managed to get she managed to get her Mac rebooted and you know, figure it out. But yeah, that happened. I'm trying to think if anything else has happened, anything dangerous. I mean, I remember to one of the inputs on the DTX I was using went.
Oh no!
So it just became a mono kit all of a sudden instead of a stereo kit.
Yeah.
I think the right input went a bit weird and
just went a bit dodgy.
And just like mute, you know. But knowing most sound engineers would have sent that to one channel instead of 2, so they wouldn't have had. They would have just lost
like half of it.
Yeah. Well, no, they would have lost all of it because they would have had to mute the whole channel.
One? Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Until they unplug the DI. You know.
Oh yeah.
So that it has to come out the mono channel and then.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. I have had not a tech blip, but I've had a trumpet player split a note, a really important note. If you've ever heard a trumpet player split a note, it just sounds like somebody farted on a trumpet. And it was absolutely brilliant. It was like an absolute screamer note, like right at the top of this lassie's range, like giving you a hemorrhage. She's blown so hard and she split the note, she never made it. So that was quite funny. The tech on the Legally Blonde gig put me in a box and then put a cross behind me and named it Drum Chapel. Which I thought was pretty rad.
That's quite good. I like that.
But no, I don't think there's been anything majorly disastrous apart from, you know, somebody cleaning a bar out, you know, which just excuse me, threw a whole band out.
I think it's the test of your musicianship as well, because if you've got a good enough band, the band will know instantly within seconds of not only what's happened but where to go to when stuff like that happens.
I've heard a story of the MD friend that I have. He doesn't let anybody in the orchestra have vocals usually in their ears because he was doing a production of Les Mis in London and they were in safety, so he's in vamping in safety, and the cast member went. She moved on, but he hadn't moved the orchestra on. Right. Half the orchestra went, and half of them didn't. And they couldn't recover it because they had vocals
in their ears.
So he was like, banned everybody from vocals. He's like, did I cue you? Did I cue you? I'm like, no, boss. It's like, so why did you move? I did not cue you. I did not cue her. Are you the director or am I the director? You know, like really serious, like
because they need to as well.
So yeah, he banned all vocals from. I was allowed a little bit, but when I played it, you could hear them anyway. Yeah, it wasn't so bad. But yeah, he banned all vocals because of that. Yeah, because people would take it upon themselves to move rather than let him be the guy to move them. That's why he's there. Yeah, and I nearly got caught out because. For the same thing on the show, because he had a cue then you can't see what I'm doing, but he had to cue the stage and then cue me in like an eighth note. Yeah, and I nearly went early, just read the cue wrong. Yeah, but like
it's a really hard, and that's again if you've never done pit work before, that's the thing. Those are the little corners you need to watch out for because it's so easy done. Because
the other thing, you know, a bar of safety might be like the 2 bars of safety might end up being a bar and a half.
Yeah.
You might play 3.5 bars and then move. You just have to jump when he tells you.
Yep.
You know, so it might not be all of a sudden it's a bar of 7 because you've had to move.
Yep. It's literally one of the only outlets of music where someone literally when someone literally tells you to jump, you say how high.
Yeah, pretty much.
You know, because you just need to follow them, because they've got so much else that they need to consider. Like a drum part to us, they're thinking about the whole show.
Yep.
All at the same time, and having to cue 6 or 7 different people, perhaps at different times, and make sure everybody's all in sync with each other, including play their own parts as well.
Yeah, if they're playing. Some of them don't play.
Yeah.
I've done shows where the MD does play, and I've done shows where the MD doesn't.
Yeah.
The shows when the MD doesn't are better for me.
Oh really? Yeah.
Yeah.
I've only ever experienced shows where the MD's also playing.
Right.
So I've yet to experience one where the MD's separate entity.
Yeah.
You know.
And he was stood right in front of me as well, so I had
Oh
immediate access to what was going on. You know, so it was a little easier.
You also had the extra pressure as well.
Oh no,
right there.
All good.
Yeah,
all good. But there's things like what people don't think about is things like where to set your music up. So naturally, because of the way a drum kit is set up, you have toms in front of you.
Yeah.
If you MD is in front of you, like if you're looking forward and the MD is there, but your music is to the left, you're now not looking at the MD. So you can't see what's going on, so you have to constantly move your head back and forward. So it's even things like, do you bring the score in front of you so that all you have to do is raise your eyes? And then how do you set your drums up if it's like, if the 6-piece kit is needed for the shows, like where do you put it? Mental.
It is one of those things, you can't really be precious about your gear, especially in how it's set up.
No.
Because you could set up your kit and in rehearsal it might be great because you're in a wide open space, and then the next thing you go into a theatre where the band pit is the size of a postage stamp, and you still need that 6-piece kit.
For sure. A lot of the remote stuff's not so bad because it's a TV and you can kind of position the TV above the stand and all that, but if the MD's literally standing in front of you, it's
like, excuse me, can you just move it the way till I put this China symbol here? It's like, no.
It's like, no, you can't.
Work it out.
I think it's something everybody should try.
Oh, big time.
Even if it's Amdram.
It's good fun. It is actually really good fun when you get into it.
Yeah.
I think for a lot of people, I think it's just, sometimes it can be just the endurance of it.
Yeah, maybe.
Because like you're playing like the same show sometimes twice in a day. You know, sometimes 3 times because they have a morning show. Sometimes a morning show, a morning show.
Mornings.
So like you could have morning, afternoon, and evening performance.
It can be roasting,
and it can be, and you're in like a very, more often than not, a small space. Sometimes by yourself if you've got a separate.
Yeah, if the drums are remote. Yeah,
if the drums are remote. You know, so.
If it's a panto and there's 3 kids, like 3 kid shows per day, it can be.
Yeah.
For like a full week.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work.
Oh yeah,
a lot of playing.
I mean, I really, like, the guys who do it all the time, like Dave Stewart, like I really, and Alan Dale, like I don't envy those guys at all because they've got those seats for a reason.
Yeah, for sure,
you know?
man. There was I know Rhythm Magazine for a while did a whole series on different pit players and stuff. You know, guys that were doing like. We Will Rock You or Wicked or School of Rock or Shrek, you know, a whole bunch of different stuff. You know, those guys are all amazing players.
Yeah.
Very, very talented people. And
it's, again, I know we keep treading on it, but the gear you use on these shows sometimes isn't really the gear of your choice.
No.
But they're not hiring you for that. They're hiring you to play.
Yeah.
Like, they don't care what you play.
That's it. As long as it sounds good.
Exactly. It works for them. What works for them won't always work for you.
That's it. Yeah.
You know.
I remember seeing Alan's kit for the Bodyguard. It was 3 up, 1 down, which I thought was really weird, but that's how it was written.
Exactly. Like when I was telling people I was doing a showcase and it was on a Roland electronic kit, like loads of people were like, "Oh man, I don't think I could do that." And it's like, really? Like,
just play it.
Like, it's like, in my experience, for me, it was like 5 days of my life when I'm playing an electronic kit. And you know what? It was actually a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Because I know that even though I had to rein it in a little bit, because it's not the same as an acoustic kit, I know that like everything's going to sound balanced.
Yeah.
You know? And that's all they care about, is that everything sounds balanced.
Yeah.
And that's fine. because that's what I'm paid. I'm paid to play the drums.
Yeah,
That's
pretty much.
basically it. I'm not paid to kind of ask questions about it
No.
and demand my Madonna moment of no, I must have my actual acoustic kit in here and tuned to my spec, and I'm not shifting.
No.
Because people who wants to work with people like that,
Not
you know
many
what I mean?
people.
Exactly,
Not
and
many
that's why
people.
I think that pit life is what we'll call it. I guess I'll call it. Pit life is an odd world, but I think it's when you dip your toe in the water every so often, it's quite fun.
Aye, for sure. It's a good place to end it.
Yeah, man.
Bring us home.
Bring us home. So, of course, you can find us on drummersonly.co.uk. We are located in Glasgow and Leeds. Glasgow shop, Unit 4, Weardale Lane, Queensley Park. G33 4JJ. Leeds, Unit 1, Springwell Point, Springwell Road, Leeds. LS12 1AF. Maybe you want to pick up some percussion-y little accessories for your upcoming musical production, or you need a new kit and maybe you want to go down the electronic route. It's all available 24/7 on drummersonly.co.uk. You can find us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, even though we barely use it, Snapchat, even though we don't have one, at Drummers Only UK. And make sure you subscribe to the podcast.
Yes.
Share it with a friend, a drummer friend.
If you're listening, this will come out Monday. This is Monday. I'm going to put this out early.
Okay, right.
Because we've got a Roland Hybrid event on Wednesday.
We do have a Roland Hybrid event on Wednesday, and that's Wednesday the 5th of February 2020. Come along if you've always wondered what the whole deal with hybrid drumming is and how to get started and how it kind of work for you and apply for you. It's a great kind of starter. Here's what you need at the very basics to get started, and how it can apply for you event. So it's free. It's at Drummers Only Glasgow, 7 o'clock until 9 o'clock, and just get all your hybrid questions answered. It's a very hands-on event as well. Myself and Chris will have our kits set up and how we incorporate hybrid, and we encourage you to get hands-on with them as well. See how it works, see how it can kind of make a difference to your play.
Yep,
cool. I think that's us.
Yep, it is. Have a good one, guys. Thanks very much.
Bye.
Bye.